The sound of muffled sobbing caught Yates Vaughn's attention as he balanced a tray of fast food meals in one hand and his 5-year-old daughter's small backpack in the other. The woman sat alone at the far corner of the food court, her face buried in her hands, shoulders trembling with each breath. Most people walked past, averting their eyes from her obvious distress, but Yates found himself unable to ignore someone in pain. "Emma, sweetheart," he whispered to his daughter who was skipping alongside him. "I think that lady over there might need someone to talk to." "Do you mind if we sit with her?" Emma looked up at her father with curious brown eyes. "Is she sad, Daddy?" "I think so, Pumpkin. Sometimes people just need someone to sit with them when they're feeling bad." Emma nodded solemnly. At 5 years old, she already possessed a remarkable empathy that made Yates's heart swell with pride. He guided her toward the table where the woman sat alone. "Excuse me," Yates said softly. "I don't mean to intrude, but we noticed you seemed upset. Would you like some company?" "Sometimes it helps not to be alone." The woman looked up, hastily wiping her tears with the back of her hand. She had striking features, intelligent green eyes framed by long lashes, now reddened from crying, and honey blonde hair pulled back into a disheveled ponytail. Her clothes were understated, but Yates could tell they were expensive, a simple cashmere sweater and tailored pants that probably cost more than his monthly rent. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice hoarse. "I must look a mess. Please don't worry about me. I'm just having a bad day. I'm Emma." His daughter announced cheerfully before he could respond. "And this is my daddy. He says you look sad, and he always says that ice cream helps when I'm sad. We have extra fries if you want some." The woman's expression softened as she looked at Emma. "That's very kind of you, Emma. I'm Lydia." "Lydia Farrell. We'll sit somewhere else if you'd prefer to be alone," Yates offered, already feeling like he might be overstepping. "No," Lydia said quickly, surprising herself. "Actually, I think I could use the company, if you're sure you don't mind." Yates set down their food tray and helped Emma into a chair. "I'm Yates Vaughn, by the way, and clearly this little ambassador has already introduced herself." For the first time, Lydia smiled, and it transformed her face entirely. "It's nice to meet you both." Yates handed Emma her kid's meal and unwrapped his own burger. "So, bad day?" he asked gently. Lydia hesitated, then sighed. "The worst. I just found out my brother and his wife are trying to take control of the family company behind my back. They've convinced the board I'm not fit to run things because I'm—" She paused, seeming to edit what she was about to say, "because I'm not married and don't have a family. Apparently that makes me unstable and lacking perspective." Yates raised his eyebrows. "That seems like a stretch." "What does being single have to do with running a business? Old money, old ideas," she said bitterly. "The company has been in my family for 3 generations. My grandfather started it, my father expanded it, and when he passed away 2 years ago, he left me in charge because I have an MBA and 15 years of experience. My brother has neither, but he does have a wife and 2.5 kids, so clearly he's more qualified." She rolled her eyes. Emma, who had been quietly eating her chicken nuggets, looked up. "What's MBA?" Lydia smiled at her. "It means I went to school for a very long time to learn about business." "Longer than kindergarten?" Emma asked, wide-eyed. "Much longer," Lydia confirmed, a genuine laugh escaping her for the first time. Yates smiled, watching the interaction. "So what will you do about your brother?" Lydia's expression darkened again. "Fight back. I've worked too hard to let him take this from me. My father trusted me with his legacy. For what it's worth, I think that's the right call," Yates said. "Standing up for yourself usually is." "And what about you?" Lydia asked, clearly wanting to change the subject. "What brings you to the mall food court on a Tuesday evening?" "Emma had her dance class, and this is our weekly tradition." "Dance class followed by dinner with toys," he said, gesturing to the plastic figurine that came with Emma's meal. "It's not fancy, but it's our thing." "I think it's lovely," Lydia said, watching as Emma arranged her fries in a specific pattern before eating them. "Where's her mother? Or am I prying too much?" Yates shook his head. "No, it's fine. Caroline left when Emma was 2, decided family life wasn't for her after all. We hear from her on birthdays and Christmas, but that's about it." "I'm sorry," Lydia said, genuine compassion in her voice. "Don't be. We've found our rhythm, haven't we, Em?" He ruffled his daughter's hair. Daddy does good braids now, Emma informed Lydia solemnly. And he only burns the pancakes sometimes. Lydia laughed again, and Yates found himself enjoying the sound. There was something unguarded about her laughter, as if it was the one part of herself she couldn't control. High praise indeed, Lydia said. What do you do, Yates? I'm an electrician. I work for a small local company, but I'm saving up to start my own business eventually. The hours are flexible enough that I can be there for Emma, which is what matters most. Lydia nodded, something like admiration flickering across her face. That's impressive, balancing work and being a single parent, Yates shrugged. We make it work. Money's tight sometimes, but Emma doesn't go without anything important. As they continued talking, Emma finished her meal and became increasingly interested in her toy. Yates checked his watch. We should probably head home soon. It's getting close to bedtime. Of course, Lydia said, looking almost disappointed. She hesitated, then pulled a business card from her purse. I've really enjoyed talking with you, both of you. Would it be too forward to suggest we might do it again sometime? Yates took the card, surprised by the elegant embossed lettering that read Lydia Farrell, CEO, Farrell Industries. He looked up at her with new understanding. Farrell Industries. As in the tech conglomerate, Lydia nodded, a hint of apprehension in her eyes. Yes, does that change things? Yates pocketed the card and smiled. Only in that I now understand why your brother's so determined. That's quite a company to try to wrestle control of. Relief washed over her face. Most people treat me differently when they find out. You're still the same person who was crying in the food court 5 minutes ago, Yates said with a gentle smile. And I'd be happy to talk again. As friends, he added, not wanting to presume. I'd like that, Lydia said softly. Emma tugged on her father's sleeve. Can Lydia come see my dance show on Saturday? I'm going to be a butterfly. Both adults laughed at her directness. Lydia looked to Yates for guidance. You're welcome to come, he said. It's at the community center at noon. Very amateur, lots of 5-year-olds bumping into each other, but Emma's quite the star. I'd love to, Lydia said, her earlier tears completely forgotten. I'll be there. As they parted ways in the parking lot, Yates couldn't help but notice how different their vehicles were. His weathered pickup truck, beside her sleek luxury sedan, a stark reminder of the worlds that separated them. But there had been a connection there, undeniable and unexpected, that had nothing to do with bank accounts or social status. I like her, Daddy, Emma said as he buckled her into her car seat. She has pretty eyes like the ocean. Yes, she does, Yates agreed, glancing back to see Lydia waving as she pulled away. Very pretty eyes indeed. Saturday arrived with crisp autumn air and bright sunshine. Yates helped Emma into her butterfly costume, carefully attaching the sparkly wings he had stayed up late fixing after they'd been damaged during rehearsal. Do you think Lydia will really come, Daddy? Emma asked for the 3rd time that morning. I don't know, sweetheart. She's a very busy lady with an important job, he said, not wanting Emma to be disappointed if Lydia didn't show. He had texted her the details as she'd requested, but hadn't heard back. They arrived at the community center early for pre-show preparations. The small auditorium was already filling with parents armed with cameras and younger siblings reluctantly dressed in their Sunday best. Yates found a seat in the middle row and saved the one beside him, just in case. 10 minutes before the show was set to begin, he felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to find Lydia standing there, looking completely different from the tearful woman in the food court. She wore a simple blue dress that matched her eyes, her hair falling in loose waves around her shoulders. Is this seat taken? She asked with a smile. It is now, Yates said, moving his jacket. Emma will be thrilled you made it. I wasn't sure you'd be able to. Lydia sat down beside him. I wouldn't miss it. Besides, I needed a break from strategizing against my brother. This is exactly the kind of normal, wholesome event I've been missing in my life. Before Yates could respond, the lights dimmed and music began. 20 kindergartners in various insect costumes stumbled onto the stage, Emma prominently in the middle, her face serious with concentration. Throughout the performance, which was as chaotically adorable as expected, Yates found himself watching Lydia almost as much as his daughter. She seemed genuinely delighted by the show, laughing at the right moments and applauding enthusiastically when it ended. "That was wonderful," she told Emma afterward, kneeling down to be at eye level with the little girl. "You were the most beautiful butterfly I've ever seen," Emma beamed. "Did you see when I did the twirl without falling? I practiced that so much, I did see. It was perfect," Lydia assured her. She glanced up at Yates. "Are you two headed home now, or do you have celebration plans? We usually get ice cream after performances," Yates said. "You're welcome to join us if you'd like." "Ice cream sounds perfect," Lydia said. They walked to a small ice cream shop 2 blocks from the community center, Emma chattering the whole way about her performance and her friends' costumes. At the shop, Yates insisted on paying despite Lydia's protests. "You can get it next time," he said, then immediately wondered if he was being presumptuous in assuming there would be a next time. Lydia smiled. "Deal." They found a table outside, enjoying the unusually warm fall day. Emma finished her ice cream quickly, then asked if she could go look at the flowers in the planter nearby. "Stay where I can see you," Yates instructed, watching as she skipped off. "She's remarkable," Lydia said, following his gaze. "You've done an amazing job with her." Yates felt a surge of pride. "Thank you. She makes it easy most of the time. She's a good kid." "She has a good father," Lydia said simply. She was quiet for a moment, then added, "I never really saw myself with children. My career always came first, but seeing you with Emma. It makes me wonder what I might be missing." "It's not easy," Yates admitted. "Especially doing it alone while trying to make ends meet, but I wouldn't trade it for anything." "How do you do it?" Lydia asked. "Balance everything, I mean." Yates considered the question seriously. "I don't always. Some days work gets the short end, some days the house is a disaster. Some days I'm too tired to be the fun dad I want to be. But I try to remind myself that perfect isn't the goal, being present is." Lydia nodded thoughtfully. "I wish the board members could hear you talk like this. They might understand that not having a family doesn't mean I can't appreciate family values. Their loss if they can't see what you bring to the table," Yates said. A comfortable silence fell between them as they watched Emma carefully studying a butterfly that had landed on the flowers. "Would you and Emma like to come to my house for dinner next weekend?" Lydia asked suddenly. "I'm not much of a cook, but I make a decent lasagna, or we could order in. I just thought it might be nice." Yates looked at her, surprised by the invitation. "We'd like that. Though I should warn you, Emma will absolutely snoop through your entire house. She's in a very curious phase." Lydia laughed. "I don't mind, there's nothing to hide." When they parted ways that afternoon, there was a moment brief but unmistakable where Yates thought Lydia might lean in for more than the friendly hug she gave him. But the moment passed, and he told himself he was reading too much into things. A woman like Lydia had to be way out of his league. The following Saturday, Yates pulled up to the address Lydia had provided and double-checked his phone to make sure he hadn't made a mistake. The house, more accurately, the estate, was situated on several acres of manicured grounds, with a long driveway leading to a modern glass and stone structure that looked like something out of an architectural magazine. "Is this where Lydia lives?" Emma asked, her eyes wide as she took in the fountain in the circular drive. "I guess so," Yates said, suddenly feeling very out of place in his 10-year-old truck with the dent in the passenger door. They parked and approached the front door, Emma bouncing with excitement while Yates fought the urge to turn around and leave. Before they could ring the bell, Lydia opened the door, dressed casually in jeans and a soft sweater, her feet bare. "You found it." "Come in," she said warmly, stepping aside to let them enter. "I was worried it might be a little hard to locate." "Your house is like a castle," Emma exclaimed, gazing around the soaring entryway with its modern chandelier and floating staircase. Lydia laughed. "It's a bit much, isn't it?" "I've been thinking of selling it, actually. It was my father's, and I kept it after he passed, but it's really too big for just me." She led them through to a spacious kitchen that was surprisingly cozy despite its high-end appliances and marble countertops. A pot of something that smelled delicious was simmering on the stove. "I decided to try my hand at homemade pasta sauce," Lydia said, stirring the pot. "My housekeeper left detailed instructions before she went on vacation, so hopefully it's edible." "It smells amazing," Yates assured her. Can I see the rest of your house? Emma asked, already eyeing the hallway that led deeper into the residence. Emma, Yates began, but Lydia waved him off. It's fine. Why don't you both take the grand tour while the sauce finishes? I'll be your guide. As they moved through the house, Yates was struck by the contrast between the opulent surroundings and Lydia's understated manner. She showed them her home theater. I've never actually used it. The indoor pool, a bit excessive, I know. And finally, her favorite room, a library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and a cozy reading nook overlooking the gardens. This is more my speed, she confessed. I spend most of my time here when I'm home. It's beautiful, Yates said honestly. Your whole house is, but this room feels like you. Lydia looked pleased by the observation. That's exactly it. The rest of the house is impressive but impersonal. This space is mine. When they returned to the kitchen, Lydia enlisted Emma's help setting the table while Yates opened the bottle of wine she'd selected. The dinner was delicious, and conversation flowed easily, punctuated by Emma's enthusiastic stories about school and dance class. After dinner, they moved to the living room where Lydia had set up board games. To Yates's surprise, she had specifically chosen games appropriate for Emma's age. I wasn't sure what she'd like, Lydia admitted quietly while Emma was arranging game pieces. I may have gone overboard and bought several options. The thoughtfulness of the gesture touched Yates deeply. That was really kind of you. As the evening progressed, Emma's energy began to wane. By 8:30, she was yawning every few minutes. I think it might be time to head home, Yates said, gathering their things. Thank you for dinner. It was wonderful. I had a great time, Lydia said, walking them to the door. Both of you, please come back anytime. At the doorway, Emma surprised them both by giving Lydia a tight hug. Thank you for the games and the spaghetti. It was the best dinner ever. Lydia knelt down to return the hug, visibly moved. You're very welcome, Emma. I loved having you here. After Emma stepped back, there was that moment again between Yates and Lydia, a beat of hesitation, of possibility. This time, Lydia took a small step forward and kissed his cheek. Drive safely, she said softly. On the way home, Emma fell asleep almost immediately, leaving Yates alone with his thoughts. He couldn't deny the growing attraction he felt toward Lydia, but he was also acutely aware of the vast differences in their circumstances. He was a single father struggling to make ends meet. She was the CEO of a multinational corporation. It seemed like the setup for a movie, not real life. Over the next few weeks, however, Lydia became a regular presence in their lives. She joined them for Emma's soccer games on Sunday afternoons, brought dinner to their apartment on evenings when Yates worked late, and even attended the parent-teacher conference at Emma's school when Yates couldn't get off work at the last minute. Each time they were together, the connection between them deepened. Yates found himself opening up to her about his dreams of starting his own business, his worries about being enough for Emma, his occasional loneliness. Lydia, in turn, shared her insecurities about living up to her father's legacy, her frustration with being underestimated because she was a woman, and her growing disillusionment with the cutthroat corporate world. One evening in late November, after Emma had gone to bed, Yates and Lydia sat on the small balcony of his apartment, sharing a bottle of wine. I've been meaning to tell you, Lydia said. The board meeting went well yesterday. I think I've managed to shut down Larry's attempt to oust me, at least for now. That's great news, Yates said, genuinely happy for her. Though I'm not surprised, you're clearly good at what you do. Lydia smiled, but there was a hint of sadness in it. The thing is, I'm starting to wonder if it's what I want to do anymore. These past few weeks, spending time with you and Emma, it's made me realize how much of life I've been missing while I've been focused on the company. What are you saying? Yates asked carefully. I'm saying that I'm considering stepping back. Not completely, the company is still my responsibility, but maybe I don't need to be in the office 60 hours a week. Maybe I could delegate more, focus on strategy rather than day-to-day operations. Yates studied her face in the dim light. Are you sure that's what you want? I don't want you to make changes to your life because of us. Lydia reached for his hand. But that's exactly it, Yates. You and Emma have helped me see what I want. For the first time in years, I'm making decisions based on what would make me happy, not what my father would have expected or what the board wants. The sincerity in her voice was undeniable, and Yates felt a surge of emotion. Before he could respond, Lydia leaned forward and kissed him softly on the lips. "I'm falling in love with you," she whispered against his mouth. "Both of you, and it terrifies me because I've never felt this way before." Yates pulled back slightly to look into her eyes. "It terrifies me too, but for different reasons. I look at you, at your life, and I can't help but wonder what you see in me. I don't have anything to offer you that you don't already have." "That's not true," Lydia said firmly. "You offer me authenticity, warmth, a different perspective on what matters. You make me laugh. You challenge me to be better." She paused, then added softly, "And you make me feel like I'm enough just as I am, without the title or the money or the family name." Yates felt something inside him shift, a wall coming down that he hadn't even realized he'd built. "I am falling in love with you too," he admitted. "But this relationship, if that's what we're calling it, it's not just about us. There's Emma to consider." "I know," Lydia said seriously. "And I would never want to disrupt her life or hurt her in any way. She's an incredible little girl and I care about her deeply." "She adores you," Yates said. "She talks about you constantly, but she's already had one woman walk out of her life. I can't let that happen again." "I'm not going anywhere," Lydia promised. "Whatever happens between us, I want to be part of Emma's life, and yours if you'll let me." Yates kissed her then, a proper kiss this time, full of the emotions that had been building between them for weeks. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, he couldn't help but smile. "So what happens now?" he asked. "Now we take it one day at a time," Lydia said. "We keep getting to know each other, we be honest about our fears and our hopes, and we see where it leads." As winter gave way to spring, their relationship continued to blossom. Yates was initially concerned about how others would perceive them, the wealthy executive and the blue-collar electrician, but Lydia never once made him feel less than her equal. If anything, she seemed to admire his practical skills and straightforward approach to life's challenges. For her part, Lydia found herself increasingly drawn to the steady warmth of Yates's small apartment compared to the echoing emptiness of her mansion. She loved the easy routine of their evenings together, helping Emma with her homework, cooking dinner with Yates, watching a movie or playing games before bedtime. By summer, Lydia had made good on her intention to restructure her role at Farrell Industries, promoting her trusted VP to handle daily operations while she focused on long-term strategy. The board had been skeptical at first, but the company's continued strong performance under the new arrangement had silenced most critics. One warm July evening, Yates invited Lydia to join him for a walk after Emma was asleep, his neighbor keeping an ear out for the little girl. "Where are we going?" Lydia asked as he led her several blocks from his apartment. "I want to show you something," Yates said, a hint of nervousness in his voice. They stopped in front of a small commercial building with a "For Lease" sign in the window. It was situated on a busy corner with good visibility and ample parking. "What do you think?" Yates asked, watching her face. Lydia looked from the building to him. "For your business," he nodded. "I've been saving for years, and with the extra work I've been taking on, I think I might finally have enough for a down payment and the initial equipment. It would be tight, but doable." "Yates, that's wonderful," Lydia exclaimed, genuine excitement in her voice. "Have you looked inside yet?" "The realtor is showing it to me tomorrow," he said, "but I wanted you to see it first. Your opinion means a lot to me." Lydia squeezed his hand. "I think it looks perfect. Great location, good size for a startup. I'm so proud of you for making this happen." "I haven't signed anything yet," he cautioned. "There's still a lot to figure out, but it feels like the right time to take the leap." They stood there for a moment, contemplating the building that represented Yates's dream. Then Lydia turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "What would you think about moving?" she asked. "Not right away, but eventually. The commute from your current apartment to here would be pretty long." "I've thought about that," Yates admitted. "There are some reasonably priced neighborhoods closer to this area. Once the business is established, maybe we could look." "Or," Lydia said carefully, "we could look for a place together." Yates stared at her, processing her words. "You mean?" "I mean I love you," Lydia said simply. "And I love Emma, and I think we could build a wonderful life together." If that's something you might want too. Yates pulled her into his arms, overwhelmed by emotion. It's everything I want, he whispered against her hair. But I need you to be sure. This isn't a fairy tale where the prince rescues the princess or the rich woman saves the struggling single dad. This would be real life, with bills and responsibilities, and a 5-year-old who still wets the bed occasionally. Lydia laughed through the tears that had suddenly appeared in her eyes. I've never been more sure of anything. And for the record, I think you've rescued me far more than I've rescued you. You showed me what really matters. 3 months later, they found a charming house halfway between Yates's new business location and Emma's school. It was modest by Lydia's standards, but felt like a palace to Yates and Emma, with a backyard large enough for the puppy Emma had been begging for. On moving day, as they watched the movers carrying in furniture a mix of pieces from Lydia's house and Yates's apartment, creating a home that represented both of them, Yates pulled Lydia aside. Remember that day in the food court? He asked. If someone had told me then that the crying woman at the table would change my life completely, I would have thought they were crazy. And if someone had told me that a kind electrician and his butterfly daughter would help me find myself again, I would have had them committed, Lydia replied with a smile. Emma ran up to them, clutching a box labeled Emma's Special Things in her careful kindergarten handwriting. Is this going to my new room, the one with the window seat? That's right, pumpkin, Yates confirmed. Do you need help carrying it up? Emma shook her head proudly. I can do it myself. I'm a big girl now. As they watched her carefully navigate the stairs, Yates slipped his arm around Lydia's waist. Are you happy? He asked softly. Lydia leaned into him, her head resting against his shoulder. Happier than I ever imagined possible, she said. Who would have thought that the worst day of my life would lead me to the best decision I've ever made? Yates kissed the top of her head, grateful beyond words for the twist of fate that had brought them together. Sometimes, he said, the universe knows exactly what we need, even when we don't. And as they stood there, watching their new life taking shape around them, both Yates and Lydia knew with absolute certainty that they had found something precious and rare, a love born from compassion, built on respect, and destined to last a lifetime.